Hey, what's going on, Poké fans? Welcome back to Pokemon TCG Center. In today's video, we'll be looking at deck from 2013 era. So back then, you probably know that Darkrai EX was probably the king of the format until a Night March appeared later in X and Y Phantom Force set. So today I'm going to bring you a Jason Klasinski deck list from the World Championship, so kind of popular and probably one of the best decks ever to play it in Pokemon TCG. You know, probably 2009, 2010 era was the golden era of the Pokemon trading card game, but I wouldn't say that even Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and you know, the early EX, Dark Explorers and the Next Destinies set wasn't bad as well for play. So this deck actually played 3 copies of Sableye. So starting with 3 copies of Sableye in this build. So if you're not familiar with the Sableye and what Sableye can do, Sableye is a 70 HP Pokemon with Confusion Ray and Junk Hunt attack. So the main focus around Sableye obviously is to Junk Hunt and basically put 2 item cards from the discard pile back in your hand. Sableye does not have weakness, neither resistance. It does have 1 retreat cost, which really doesn't matter too much. The main focus with Sableye is to Verbing City, Hypnotoxic Laser your opponent as much as you can, deny energies with Enhanced Hammer, because in that format Thunderous Deoxycurum, or deck also known as TDK, was very popular, very strong, and it also used tons of special energy cards. So with Junk Hunt, he was able simply to deny your opponent energy acceleration. So additionally, deck also played 1 Mr. Mime with the Bench Barrier. Pretty much not need to waste too much time about that card. It's basically here to prevent Genesect, the Bench Snipe for 20, as well as Darkrai, Dark Spear, actually Night Spear for like 90-30. Deck also played 2 copies of Keldeo EX, one of the best cards back then in the format. Also, there was a Keldeo, Blastoise and Black Huron deck in format as well, which was very popular with Tropical Beach back then. That was a very popular deck. I really loved to play that format and also that deck. What the Keldeo does, it basically uses ability Rush In, so you can rush from the bench to the active position and basically remove the special conditions that your active Pokemon might be affected with. But also, if it have Darkness Energy attached to it, then you can simply use Dark Cloak ability and retreat for free on the bench without using Switch. So that's why Keldeo was so popular in this deck. And obviously he played also 4 copies of Darkrai EX. There you have it. So if you're not familiar with the Darkrai EX card, there it is. Look at it. It looks gorgeous. I mean, let's be honest. It is my favorite looking EX card of all time, and I really like it. Dark Cloak ability, each of your Pokemon that has any Darkness Energy cards attached to it has no retreat, meaning that you can basically use this card in multiple decks as long as the deck can play Prism Energy, Rainbow Energy, or maybe a basic Darkness Energy back then, so you can simply use the effect of it and retreat, you know, on the bench for free. Night Spear for 2 Darkness and 1 Colorless Energies, hits for 90, but also 30 to 1 of the opponent benched Pokemon. It was weak on the fighting Pokemons. Landorus actually was also then in a format. It wasn't that popular, but there was some Landorus decks with the Gardevoir, but due to the weakness of the water, which was much popular, it wasn't that heavily played. Probably Terrakion was much better option, but it was also very popular due to the resistance -20 to the Mewtwo, and with the free retreat, that card was actually pretty badass and also broken. So that's for the Pokemon lineup. Speaking about trainer cards, this deck obviously played one copy of Computer Search. It is a special item card. It is a Ace trainer card, as you can see right here with the Ace Pack rule, which says that you can only have one Ace trainer card in your deck. And Computer Search is basically the reprint of the original one, just with that Ace rule, which says that you can discard 2 cards from your hand in order to play this card, search your deck for a card and put it in your hand without showing it to your opponent. So that card was actually broken with this deck because it was able to use multiple Computer Search per game as long as you can just simply junk hunt them back with the Sableye Junk Hunt attack. Additionally, the deck also played one copy of Energy Search, so you can simply use Energy Search and search your deck for a regular basic Darkness energy just in case if you didn't have one. Also, Tool Scraper was a part of the deck as well. It was a very popular card back then, and many decks played one copy of Tool Scraper, so maybe even 2, but with the Junk Hunt you only needed 1. It was very important because of the Garbotoxin Garbodor ability, which shuts down all other abilities as long as there is a tool attached to the Garbodor, and that's the main focus why you should have Scraper. Speaking about Stadium cards, deck played 2 Verbank City Gyms, which added 2 more damage counters on a Pokemon that's affected with, you know, special condition with the poison between turns, so 2 extra damage counters with the Verbank City. And also deck played 2 copies of Darkrai. Just in case if you're not familiar with the Darkrai card and the effect of the Darkrai, Darkrai was a very good card for the Darkness Pokemon decks. It also it was a tool card that was mainly based for Darkness Pokemons. Once you attach Darkrai to the Darkness Pokemon, the attacks of the Darkness Pokemons does 20 extra damage. Basically meaning only one thing. You can, I'm trying to rearrange the light a little bit. So basically with the Darkrai attached to Darkrai, you could simply hit for like 110 and 30 with poison between turns. You can increase that damage up to 140. So that's the reason why Claw was very good. Additionally, deck also played 2 Bicycles, which was just a trainer card that says you can draw cards until you have 4 cards in your hand. So yeah, we're a little bit here with that lightning. Let me see if I just turn the lights off. Will it be better? Probably a little bit, but then we have some snow here. Anyways, so what the Bicycle says, it basically says that that you can draw cards until you have 4 cards in your hand. So also very useful with Junk Hunt Sableye as well. 2 copies of Enhanced Hammer also very good fits in this build, especially because deck really relied on discarding opponent special energies, especially in the matchups versus Thunderous Dexian and Cure, because they played, you know, unit energies or whatever those energies were called back then, prism energies and special energies, and that's the reason why Enhanced Hammer was very good in this build. Also 3 copies of Random Receiver, which is basically a card that says that you need to reveal the top deck of your, you're basically revealing the cards of your deck until you find supporter card, and then you're basically putting that supporter card in your hand. So really good card. A Random Receiver actually helped the deck a lot to find either way and or Johnny Purr if it was necessary. 3 copies of Ultra Ball was also in the build as well. So simply the last time we had Ultra Ball in the standard format was in the Sun and Moon era. Discard 2 cards from your hand. If you can't discard 2 cards from your hand, you cannot play Ultra Ball. Search your deck for any Pokemon, put it in your hand, show it to your opponent, obviously. Also 3 copies of Energy Switch. So with Energy Switch, you can simply move energies between your Pokemons in any way you like. This is really good in combination of the Dark Patch. Dark Patch was also very broken and powerful card back then. which says that you can attach a basic Darkness Energy card from your discard pile to one of your benched Darkness Pokemon. So we actually got Energy Acceleration for Darkness Pokemon first, then we got Aqua Patch, and later we get that Metal Saucer. So it's pretty much like the day standard Zacian card acceleration. Additionally, the most broken card back then in that format was obviously a Pokemon Catcher, and this deck played 4 copies, and 99 of other decks also played 4 copies of Pokemon Catcher, except probably for Genesect and Virizion. They had that red signal ability, which basically, by attaching plasma energy to Genesect from your hand, also worked as Pokemon Catcher. Before Catcher was rated, it was basically switch your opponent active Pokemon with one of his or her benched Pokemon. So you simply throw the Catcher to his benched Pokemon and say, hey, this Pokemon is going to be knocked out right now, I have Pokemon Catcher, and I'm going to slap you in your face. You can't do anything to me. Yeah, that was true back then, you know. Later they actually saw the Catcher was just too broken, they decided to put it with the flip coin, and later they simply reprinted Catcher effect into the supporter, which was later named Lysander, today's boss's orders. Also, 4 copies of Hypnotoxic Lasers. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Flip a coin if your opponent's active Pokemon is also asleep. So, Hypnotoxic, Verbank City, Junk Hunt, and you do that over and over and over again as long as your opponent cannot wake up, they cannot attack. Back then, decks didn't play switch cards, they simply played Keldeo Floatstone for the rushing retreat situations. And, you know, back then the format was a little bit different, and that's the reason why lasers were so good. Also, 4 copies of N in this build as well. Each player shuffle his or her hand in his or her deck, then each player draws a cards for each of his or her remaining prize cards, and was such a broken card as well as a Pokemon Catcher back then. Imagine your opponent taking a knockout, you can simply end him. Imagine your opponent have 2 cards, you can end him. Imagine your opponent have 7 cards and 1 prize card left after he took the double knockout, let's say. You can simply smile to his face, shoving him in and putting him down to 1 card, which means that you still have a chance to, you know, set up, respond, take the knockout, and maybe just force your opponent to pass a turn because they probably not gonna draw anything from 1 card anyways. Also, 4 copies of Professor Juniper, pretty much these days Pokemon Research, or Professor Sycamore, depending on which format you started to play. Discard your hand and draw 7 cards, not to waste too many time explaining that card, and obviously 10 regular and basic Darkness Energy cards in this build, which will conclude this deck to the list of 60 cards as you can see in front of you. And that was the deck list that Jason Klasinski used to win World Championship back in 2013. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please definitely consider checking the ccgcastle.com, especially if you're looking to buy any of these singles, maybe even sealed products and stuff like that. Soon we will also do some giveaway videos. Subscribe to the channel for more videos. I'm looking forward to build Luxray level X as well, and some other decks that I will just post on my YouTube channel. We will also do some battles as well. Yeah, hit a thumbs up, sub the channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss any future video, and yeah, that's it for today's video. We'll see you next time, so goodbye.